This is Nick Kasayan, CEO, Light Helmets. This is Light Impact Season 2, Episode 6. I got the number right this time. Special guest today, San Diego resident, recon Marine for 16 years, deployed multiple times, coach, mental skills coach, football coach, entrepreneur, team manager, San Diego Legion, Bosier, Coach Bo. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. That's a resume, bro.
I know. I mean, I was going through your LinkedIn and I got to
what?
go through the list, and I'm like, he's a stallion.
I've been a couple places.
Yeah. In a well-lived life, which we're going to definitely cover today. So thanks for coming in today.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure.
And I always explain a little bit. Like we met maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, I'll say probably. I would say 6, maybe.
Yeah.
It seems like it's been long, definitely longer than 4.
I think my younger kid was in 7th grade, right? So he was just starting to play football. You were coaching at football at La Costa Canyon.
Correct.
So, maybe even longer, maybe 6, 7 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about, where you grew up. We're going to go through the whole gamut. You're not getting away with it easy today.
Let's do it.
So where'd you grow up? What was your family like?
Yeah, so I grew up in Houston, Texas, man, right in the heart of the city.
Wow.
So to be pretty accurate, as a kid, grew up right there in Third Ward. Third Ward is right there next to downtown Houston.
Yep.
As we grew up, we moved to southeast side of Houston. And then right before high school, my mom moved us to southwest Houston. So it's called Sharpstown area. Mm-hmm. And that's where I pretty much finished middle school and finished high school in that area.
Brothers, sisters?
Yep. So I have an older sister, 2 years older. I have a younger sister, 1 year younger, and I have a brother, 7 years younger. So I have a brother and 2 sisters.
And growing up, were you tight?
Yeah, typical siblings. We beat the crap out of each other, and, take things from each other and break each other toys, and it was pretty. I think for me, it was myself and my 2 sisters before my brother came along, and as I got older, I started feeling the pressure of having 2 girls around me all the time. Man, they would gang up on me. I gang up on them. My older sister would always tell me what to do, take the trash out. I didn't want to do it, and then my brother was born. I was like, yes, payback is coming, girls. I was so happy when that dude was born, man. To be honest with you, I was so happy when he was born.
That's
I was like, me and you, dude, we're gonna teach these girls a lesson.
That's funny.
But no, we're super tight, man. We are, growing up with your brothers and sisters, just typical stuff. You're gonna argue, you're gonna fight.
Yeah.
You're gonna compete against each other. I compete against my older sister. She was an athlete, very smart. So always seeing her in front of me, I had, somewhat of a trail to follow. But then now, as we're all older, we're super tight, man. I just saw them in Houston a couple weeks ago at one of our games, and they were there supporting me. So
that's good stuff.
Yeah.
How was it having them come to the game?
Oh, bro, it's awesome. So before they came to the game, they came to San Diego. My sisters took a little sister's visit. They said, hey, we're going to come up to San Diego and hang out with you for the weekend. So about 2 weeks or 3 weeks before we played Houston, they actually came here to San Diego and hung out with me for the weekend. And so I gave them a tour of the facility, the Legion facility, and sent them home with some huge Legion flags. And I was like, hey, when we get to Houston, I want to see those flags. Now, every year they do come out to the game and support in Houston, but they normally just have like a shirt or a hat that I give them.
Sure.
But now I gave them these huge flags. And this time, 3 weeks ago, when we were there in Houston, they had huge flags sitting right next to our bench, cheering us on the whole time.
That's great. That's good stuff. You're kind of like the little brother, right? That, when you're younger, nobody knows what your life is going to end up being. And you're probably pain in the ass at times, and other times, you're like, my little brother. And, you end up all the girls that they were friends with, you're like, ooh.
That was a perk. I'm not going to lie. That was a perk. My older sister had a lot of friends. She was very outgoing, played sports. She was in band. So I would go to the high school games, and they would come to the house, and she had some pretty good-looking friends, and there was eye candy for me at that point. I couldn't really make a move on
you didn't have game yet.
I didn't have game at all. I could just look and wonder, hey, she's cute.
So we're jumping around a little bit. So talk a little bit about what you're doing now. So you got San Diego Legion. I'm familiar with the game of rugby. Like when I watched it the first time, I was like, "Holy shit! Like this shouldn't even be legal in the Geneva Convention." You got no helmets, no gear. Guys are hitting each other. The tackling's different. There's a different level of respect. Nobody's trying to get the hit that's like a Sports Center hit, although there's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So tell me first about the Legion, the league that they play in, where these guys are coming from. Are they all professionals? Walk me through it.
Yeah. So San Diego Legion. So San Diego Legion is part of the Major League Rugby. So that's the league that's in the United States. It's the only professional league in the United States. And we're in our 6th season right now, going strong. We have about 12 teams across the U.S. We have an Eastern and a Western conference, and so our season typically starts from January and it ends in July. We play 8 home games, we play 8 away games, and then you have a game playoff elimination, and then you make it to the championship, which will be July 9th this year, and we expect ourselves to be there. So the players that make up the league, most of them are international players. Rugby in the United States, it's always been here. It's just been dormant. It's been dormant. Your son plays at high school, so some of the high school, some of the high schools still have rugby, depending on what state you're in, right? So it's very, very regional as far as where rugby is strong, but it had always been the United States. So now rugby's growing. A lot of the players are from international. So New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, the UK, all over the UK, Ireland, Scotland, Argentina, right? So we have players from all over the globe. And then we have our American domestic players that are born and raised here. That a lot of them played rugby at college. So we have guys that played at Cal Berkeley, guys that played at St. Mary's College, which is a huge rugby college, and Linwood, and all different places across the United States. So the league comprised of a good mixture. Again, mostly a lot of international and a lot of American. But each team is only quoted with 10. They can only play 10 foreign internationals at a time on game day.
Got it. On the field at one time?
So out of 23 men, so you can roster 23 men to play the game for that day. So you have 15 that start and 8 reserves on the bench. Out of that, in that 23, you can only have 10 that are international. Everyone else has to be a domestic player. Or determined domestic player. So a domestic player can also be a player who was born in the United States but grew up in the UK.
Yeah.
And has played rugby in the UK or played rugby in Australia or South Africa, but they have a American passport, which makes them a domestic player.
Sure.
So that's a bonus.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a lot of those as well.
How does that cultural blend when you're bringing guys from all over the place, right? They grew up in a different place. Every country's got its idiosyncrasies with how you interact with other people. How do you guys smooth that? Do you celebrate it, or is it a non-issue?
Oh man, we celebrate it. We celebrate it because you learn so much from different people from different walks of life. And that's the rugby culture. And that's why I kind of fell in love with it, because it reminds me of a little bit of the military culture. In the military, you have people from all walks of life within the United States. Me coming from Texas, the first time I met somebody from Chicago was a guy in my boot camp.
Wow.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so me and that guy, we become friends. He tells me about things in Chicago. I tell him about things in Texas, and we kind of dismiss some of the myths that we've heard growing up. It's the same thing in rugby. You have guys from all over the place, but the one common thing is rugby, and it's weird. The other common thing is coffee. They all love coffee, man. These dudes, they love coffee. So you can get a bunch of rugby guys, and if you can find a good coffee shop, they'll hang out there and they'll tell stories and just kind of have good company with each other, and it doesn't really matter where they're from. One of the things we do at Legion, we have signs kind of posted all over our facility, and on that sign, it's how you say hello or goodbye in every language of every player that we have on the team.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So we do celebrate that culture.
Yeah, the shit that these guys drink. Like this crazy coffee cup they have with a metal straw that doesn't get washed, and it's got grass and weeds and all kinds of other shit in it. What is that?
That's from Argentina. So our Argentinians, man, they bring that in, and it's like a tea. So and it's a cool cup, right? That cup.
The cup is cool.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know how to describe it, but it's pretty cool. I just want one, right? I just want one. I don't really think I want to drink the contents of it because I've heard one of our players talk about like how strong it is and it can make you go to the bathroom really fast if you don't. He said it's like really strong coffee, like the strongest coffee you can have.
Yeah.
But it's not coffee. It's like a tea, right? And he said it it has some herbal, healthy
benefits.
Benefits to it and things like that. But the thing that's going to kind of maybe keep me away from it, I don't need to be going to the bathroom on accident.
I agree with that. Like the guys, I looked at the cup and I'm like, he's like, oh, try it.
But it's so cool, and and like I said, it's an Argentinian guy. It's an Argentinian thing, but our guys from New Zealand will do it. Would have a cup.
Yeah.
Guys from Canada will have it. So it just cross pollinated across the whole team. That's a huge signature of how strong the culture is in rugby. That that these guys are sharing each other's culture and taking it on.
Yeah, no, for sure. So when the guys come here, obviously they're coming here because they want to play, but is there more money to be made here than in some of the other countries because this league is now getting some traction? What's the draw?
I don't think the draw is not the money.
Okay.
I'll just put it that way. I'm not really going into detail on how much guys get paid, but it's not the money. The money's not the draw, and the money, the American style of sports money is not there yet.
Yeah.
Right. But what the draw is that it's America and it's American sports, and everyone knows that the U.S. knows how to commercialize sports. We do it. Wow, we do it. I'll say we do it the best. You just look at NFL, MLB, NBA, right? I mean, you're talking about the squad of millionaires. You look at an NFL team, 53-man roster.
Yeah.
Like 45 of those guys are millionaires.
Yeah.
Right. So. To your athletes, to your rugby athletes, and to your international athletes, a lot of them look at the U.S. and go, "Man, what are they doing over there? Where these guys are making so much money?"
Sure.
And so the money's not it. The money's not it. It's definitely the attraction of what it could be. We know what it is right now.
Yeah.
We have a salary cap, and the salary cap does not remotely even make anybody rich.
Sure.
Right.
Is it? So I went to, I think, the first game here at Snapdragon, which is a new stadium in San Diego. If you haven't been there, it's a great place to watch a game. And I will say this: so we had gotten some tickets. We got some guys that are in and out of our office with some frequency. So we go to the game. We get there. Parking's easy to get in. The game length was, I wasn't there for 5 or 6 hours, right? We tailgated a little. We went in. The game length was fantastic. There's no stops in the action where somebody walks out. Like now you go to an NCAA football game, the person walks out with a big stand that says 3-minute break. You're like, 3-minute break, right? I mean, now you're talking about 3.5, 4 hours of just being in the game plus before and after. You could get in and out, but the action was fantastic. Yeah. And the thing I noticed in high school rugby and in club rugby is after the game, in the NFL, you'll see guys get together. Some guys pray, some guys switch jerseys, some guys talk, but there's not like a format for it. Like everybody's kind of mulls about. There seems to be a format at the end of these rugby games. Talk a little bit about that because it's different than any sport that I've seen where NBA guys just walk off the court, which I don't like.
Yeah. So typically after a rugby match, first of all, these guys, like you said, 80 minutes, these guys are coming here to the United States to play the game in this new league with guys of international caliber that they would probably never ever play with on the same team.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the cool thing about coming here and playing in our league is that your teammate could be a guy that you would have never been a teammate with. Right. So that's an awesome thing. And then at the end of the match, a lot of these guys know each other.
Sure.
So after 80 minutes of literally punching each other in the face, hitting each other, meat on muscle on bone on bone, just like you can hear the pops, man.
Oh, it's tough, man.
It's crazy, especially with no pads on.
Yeah.
And you hear that crunch, you hear that pop, and you're like, that's not what body part just got disassembled.
Yeah.
Right. And so then afterwards, these guys, black eyes, ears barely hanging off their head, and they're hugging each other after the match, talking to each other, asking about the family, asking about the kids, asking about the dog. Hey, how's Chicago? Hey, how's New Orleans? Hey, how's San Diego? Just really having a good old social, meet and greet. And so that's the informal piece that's done on the field. After the field, meet and greet, we go to the locker room, sing some songs, have some beers,
Yep.
right? So for our home game, I put 2 cases of beer in the visitors' locker room. We have 2 cases of beer in our locker room.
That's awesome.
Win or lose, at the end of the match, you're going to have some beer. You got to have beer after rugby. That's
Yep.
just the way it is, right? So we get all cleaned up. After we get cleaned up in the locker room, we all would meet at another destination where we'll have a meal together, both teams.
That's cool.
And that is the format.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I think that other sports can learn so much from that format. I think that it breeds a different level of respect, right?
Yeah.
On field when you're playing. And I think you see it more in, first and foremost, rugby, obviously, number one. I think you see it in the NFL more now than you used to, because the opportunity to get hurt, it exists, and hurt badly, right? And it's so hard to get to the tip of the spear in any of these sports. And you hit it on the head. Like, the reason that the NFL makes so much money, I just met with some guys from the Retired Professional Players Association. I may have said that wrong. There's an acronym for it. But the guys that played in the 60s, 70s, even in the 80s, they didn't make a lot of money. Guys in the 90s started making money. Like Walter Payton was the first player to get offered or make $1 million, right? And, he was the leading rusher of all time for forever, arguably the best running back of all time. But now guys, Aaron Rodgers is going to make 55, 60 million bucks. Yeah. The thing I love about football and the thing I love about rugby is you got a fumble in football. You can't tell if the guy's making $600,000 and he's a practice squad guy that got brought up, or the guy's getting paid $55 million. They're both going after the ball at the same pace. Right. When you watch rugby, I was at that game, and I've been to a couple now. Everybody is 100%. There's no I'm taking a play off, or I'm walking down on defense, or I'm going to wait till the last 2 minutes to play defense in basketball. I mean, these guys get after it. If you have not gone to a professional rugby game and you're listening to this and you like football and you like hockey or you like UFC, you have to go to one of these, because Absolutely. It is like all of this combined into one. Now, did you ever play rugby?
I didn't play growing up, but I did have a couple run-ins with rugby in my military career, because that's the first place I ever saw it when I traveled internationally. And so the first place that I saw rugby was when I was in Sydney, Australia, working with the commandos, the Australian commandos. And we just did this huge exercise out in the mountains, of the Blue Mountains of Sydney. And we came back to Sydney proper, and they took us to the field and said, hey, mate, we're going to show you guys how to play some rugby. I'm like, cool. So we go to this field, look like a football field, right? But it's not. But to me, my American mind, I'm like, oh, football field, nice. And then they get this ball that's kind of bigger than a football, and they're tossing it kind of underhanded, like. And I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
And I was like, just throw it overhand. Like, I'm critiquing everything. Yeah. I'm like completely confused on what's going on. And they say, okay, we're going to set up. I'm going to throw the ball back to you, and then you're going to throw it back to him, and you're going to throw it. I'm like, whoa. Why are we throwing the ball backwards when we're trying to go forward?
Yeah, it's not a French game. I mean. And
I told you, I lost all interest at that moment. Yep. But at the end of the field, there was a kangaroo. And we all the American boys, we all look at the kangaroo. We're like, whoa, kangaroo. So we run down and we chase the kangaroo, and we don't play, and we just like, we're not playing rugby.
Yeah.
And so that was my first introduction to rugby without knowing anything, understanding the rules, where it came from, and anything. Fast forward, I had a couple more touches. Started playing touch out in Torrey Hills.
Yeah.
Played touch rugby, really got into it, and then I was really introduced to it in 2019 with the San Diego Legion. And then I actually started playing. I'm going to be 50 years old in July.
Yeah.
I started playing last year. I was like, okay, I can't watch anymore. I can't just watch these guys do this. This is such a warrior sport. Yeah. I need to get my feet wet.
Sure.
So I went and signed up, and I played for the North County Gurkhas.
Wow,
that's
cool.
Which is the local team here in North County in San Marcos. So guys took me in, taught me how to play the game, and I knew a lot because I'm around it every day.
Yeah.
But it felt so awesome just to kind of get in it and actually physically be a part of it and be a part of that culture. It's so great. And man, I come from football.
Sure.
I coached football, 5-6 years at Lacoste Canyon High School. I love the game. I love the sport. I understand it. But rugby was, because it doesn't change. Right, that's a sport that does not change for the aging man or female. And what I mean by that is that, if you played football growing up as a kid, and as you get older, when you play, you start playing touch.
Yeah.
And because you play
exactly
for that team. You play touch. Basketball, you start calling your own fouls.
Yeah.
Right. Baseball turns into softball.
Yeah.
All these sports become modified as you get older.
Sure.
Rugby does not. If you go and play, you go and play.
Yeah.
You running the ball, someone's gonna hit you.
Yeah.
And if they're coming at you, you better stop them. There's no timeouts.
Yeah.
It's 80 minutes, and there's two ways to get off the field in rugby. The first way is if you have a head injury.
Yeah.
If you have a head injury, the referee will let you leave the field. They'll get your head checked. The other way you leave the field is if you're bleeding too much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not a little blood. If you're bleeding too much, we need to get your jersey so you don't contaminate other people with your blood.
Right.
Those are the only two ways to get off that you come off the field.
That's funny.
If you twist your ankle,
Yeah. You're playing.
and you come off the field, you can't go back on.
Yeah.
So players are very, very careful to come off the field when they're hurt. Remember, there's a difference between being hurt and injured.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know the difference.
Yeah.
But these guys play hurt a lot. And 80 minutes of hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting, and you see the guys that are playing 80 minutes, bro, they're not playing 80 minutes because they're not feeling the pain.
Yeah.
They're playing 80 minutes because they're doing it for their team and for their teammate.
Yeah. And they're
So-
beat up. It's pride in the game, your team, the whole
Yeah.
thing, right? I struggle with soccer. Like, and there's a lot of people that play soccer. I don't have anything against the game, but when a guy gets kicked in the ankle, lays there, his team's playing shorthanded for a while, they arbitrarily make the game longer. The guy gets taken off in a basket. They spray him with the spray, and then he runs back on like the conquering,
The spray.
hero. And the fans are beating each other's ass. I'm like, the fans are tougher than the guys playing. But soccer, I mean, the skill there, I get it. But that level of, grit and playing through injury and pain and everything, it just seems different in rugby. And I'm only now really starting to embrace it. So like you, I have a different appreciation for it as an older guy now at 55. You watch this and you can see the level of respect, and it's very different. So having coached football for some time and played, and then the rugby side of things, what would you say is the biggest contrast between the two games and the mentality of the two games?
I'll say the biggest contrast between the two games, that's from a fan perspective, is with rugby, I can see the player's face. I can see them. I can see when they're going in to make a hit. I can see their face. I can see if there's any hesitation. I can see pain. I can see wincing. In football, they wear helmets. We really can't see the players, so we don't have a personal connection per se with the player, but we have a personal connection with their name that's on the back of the jersey.
Yeah.
Where in rugby, it's much like it came from soccer, so it still follows some of the soccer rules as far as the number they wear is directly related to the position that they play, right? I would say the other contrasting point between rugby and football is that obviously football, you're wearing pads, and I know, and we play, like, you feel invincible when you're wearing those pads.
Yeah.
And it actually gives you a little extra turbo boost when you're playing running back and you're going to run between tackles.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is all you have to do is just lower your shoulder pads down to take those hits, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Right? Rugby, there's no pads.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are not allowed to wear anything metal or anything really hard plastic. They can tape themselves up and you'll see a lot of tape on rugby players. And like when you look at football players, they wear helmets to protect their head. Rugby players wear tape around their ears to keep their ears from falling off in the scrum.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they get ripped off.
Yeah. And that's and if a guy's bleeding too much, then the physio runs on the field. Like, these guys don't go to the sideline. The physio comes out to the field with tape and just tape up whatever's bleeding. That's it. So that's so to me, that's like the biggest thing. Both sports, both athletes in those respective sports are tough, and they're both warriors. The mentality, the physicality, it's all there. The biggest difference is obviously I can see you. You're not wearing pads, and the last one is the time, 80 minutes versus 4 quarters with timeouts and things like that.
Right.
The 80 minutes, it's a grind, man.
Yeah.
Because these guys are making 18 tackles a game, and in the NFL, one person will be lucky to make 5 tackles.
Yeah.
In a game, right? That's a 6 to 8 tackles is like, whoa.
Yeah.
We got guys averaging 20 tackles a game.
That's crazy.
By the end of the season, these guys will have racked up close to 200 tackles in a season.
Yeah.
Where you look at the NFL, the most tackles in one season would probably be like 85, 90.
What do the guys do in the off season?
So our international guys will go back home.
Okay.
Some of these guys will go home and play for another team. right? So some of these guys will go back home. They'll play for a home team or a club team or a semi-pro team or pro team or whatever. Some of these guys will get contracts to play for a bigger team in a bigger league somewhere else. Some guys go back to work, like back in the '60s, how these guys were playing, but they have full-time jobs, and we have a few players that have full-time jobs that play with us. So
it's interesting learning about this, right? You think about you or I. When we were kids, you saw baseball. It's changed a little bit, right? Basketball's changed quite a bit, right? It went from being, kind of a finesse game to a real physical game to more of a finesse offensive game. Football went from, man, you could do anything, target anyone. And like you said, rugby's kind of been the same. But it's a new sport here. And I think that the money comes into these sports when TV comes into these sports, right? So you got to live stream it to get a certain level of popularity, but you can look at NASCAR, football, any of this stuff. And I think that it's only a matter of time until rugby, hits the jackpot. And everyone that's been involved in it at this point, you can see guys like yourself are making a mark because it's getting more and more popular. I think the game I went to, they said that was the #1 most attended rugby game.
Yeah.
And that was fantastic.
11,500 people. That's the league record right now. The last record was set by the championship that we had in 2021. It was like 7,900.
Yeah.
Right? So we bumped that. And the last record before that was set by the San Diego Legion in 2019, a championship match at Torero Stadium in 2019. It was like 7,500 people.
Sure.
Right? And now, and 11,500. That's San Diego. Yeah. Thank you, San Diego. Like that's how many people. That's the fan base in San Diego rugby. Rugby is huge in California. It's even bigger in Southern California. Yeah. And that's what we do at Legion. Not just play games on the weekend, but we have an academy. We have full-blown academy. We have a wider training group where we're always in the community trying to find out who's who in the zoo, who can play rugby, and do you want to play professionally? Do you want to play in college? Do you want to play for our academy? Come on out, and that's what our coaches and our staff spend time doing in the off season is trying to figure out where all these rugby players are.
Do you think kids that full disclosure, like my kid plays football at a big Catholic high school here, then he plays rugby, then he plays lacrosse. And he's a big, right? He's a center. There's not once you are a lineman and you're a junior or senior and you start getting big, you usually start dropping off some of these sports. And I encouraged him. I'm like, hey man, like footwork with rugby, and one of the guys that works with him on weekends is like rugby. You having coached both sports, there's a lot of parents that will listen to this show or people with coaches and things like that. How do you think that the two can complement one another?
Oh my goodness, man. I'm so glad you asked this question because I love, especially for bigs, because when I was coaching at LCC, we had a lot of our bigs that played rugby in the off season.
Yeah.
And and I'm talking mostly our offensive linemen. And your son is an offensive lineman, right? Offensive linemen spend their entire football season either going backwards or going forwards to block somebody. They don't get the ball.
Yeah.
They don't score touchdowns, right? They're just blocking or moving backwards while some guy's coming at them full speed, who has the advantage, and they got to keep that guy from hitting the quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm not a big man. I'm a thin guy, but as a coach, I always admire those guys, those old linemen that come in every day and do the job. A lot of them in the beginning don't want to do that job. They really be a defensive lineman. They really just charge instead of sitting there and blocking. But you have to be very intelligent to be an old lineman. Now, when I saw our old linemen playing rugby, when first time I saw our kids playing rugby, and I saw them carrying the ball, and I saw that smile on their face, I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it. They can score, they can catch, they can throw, they can do all the other sporting characteristics, that it takes to be a complete athlete. And I watched them, and they just looked so happy. And I was like, man, football, watch out. You're old lineman, you better treat these guys good because if they get a taste of rugby, they're not going to want to come back.
Yeah.
Now, that's the complimentary. The complimentary is that when a big goes, when a O-line, a D-lineman go and play rugby, and they get to work on footwork, they get to work on speed, they get to work on their agility, right? their fitness goes up.
Yeah.
Right. And then when they come back to football, they're so much more confident in what they need to do. And if they had to get the ball, if they did scoop up a fumble, oh, watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out. He's going to stiff on me. He's going to put a move on you. He's going to juke you. He's going to go down, and he probably present the ball like it's rugby, which we don't want him to do that.
Right.
But, like, it's so awesome to see, especially when we talk about our linemen in football that also play rugby, and then vice versa. You just kind of see that physicality. I think rugby increases the O-lineman's physicality because a lot of those guys are passive because they're just waiting on – there's pass protection.
Yep.
They're not aggressive unless, it's a run block. Oh, we get to go knock that guy's head off. Not really. You just got to hold them up and move them in a direction.
Right.
Can't really, like, take them to the ground per se. You can. But in rugby, it allows them to tackle.
Sure.
They never get to tackle.
Yeah.
O-linemen never get to tackle, man. Unless if they're tackling somebody, that's bad. That's just an interception.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But in rugby, they get to tackle. They get to do all those fun things, and I'm so happy for them. I remember when I was coaching football, I used to have what's it called? I would call it big man fades. So we have a big man fade period where at the end of practice, have all the big guys lined up, and we throw fades to them into the end zone.
End zone, yeah.
And they run. They can do whatever move they want off the line.
Yeah.
A juke move, whatever. And then they run and they catch a fade, called big man fades.
That's awesome.
And they loved it, man.
I love it. I noticed it with him and with a handful of the other kids, how it improved their footwork, agility, balance, as opposed to, hey, you're off platform and you're a big dude. It's easy to get knocked to the ground. And when you work on that, but I also think the football, work can help the rugby guys too. It goes both ways. What sports did you play when you were a kid?
So I played predominantly basketball, man. I grew up with a basketball in my hand. That was my first sport. That was a sport that I played, from 6 years old, like on a team, right? All the way until high school. And, and then in high school I found ROTC, which goes into my military career. But growing up as a kid, my mother had us in every sport. So basketball, baseball, football, track, martial arts, instruments. I played the cornet, the trumpet. My sister, my mom could have had a band. She had us all in instruments, and we all played sports. We're all basketball players. My sisters were softball players and volleyball players. My older sister gave a shot at football. So we were all over sports, man. We love sports. I grew up playing sports, and if I wasn't playing on a team, I was playing out in the streets. And growing up in Houston, there's a basketball court where we live. There's a basketball court like every block away. So I was never without a basketball, never without a baseball, never without a skateboard, never without some sport that I can go play it and have fun. And be honest with you, I played basketball in the street a lot, and playing basketball for a team was boring to me. It's just because I couldn't do the things the way I played in the street, I couldn't play in the formalized basketball setting. And I understood that, but it hamstringed my style of playing basketball.
Sure.
And I just kind of I was done with it.
Yeah.
But I still play it on the side. I still play street ball. I go to Solana Beach every now and then, man. And
go
right
play,
there, yeah, right there at Fletcher's Cove.
Yeah.
I used to play there years ago, and some guys would show up, and we have some serious, games, and I love basketball, man. That's my sport. But yeah,
it's good cardio too, and I've had I don't know how many people sitting in your chair today that have all said, I don't want my kid, or I wouldn't recommend somebody else's kid playing just one sport, right?
No way.
And it's gotten so much in that direction because there's so much money in, hey, if my kid's a good baseball player, he's going to camps and he's doing this and he's on a travel team because people are making money, so it drives the kid into that space, but it doesn't round out their athletic performance,
right.
One. Number two, you can overwork, whether it's the mind and you burn the kid out, or overwork the body with certain motions, movement, stress, etc. But I just think you meet more people, the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, when did you play? Did you play football in high school?
I played football, Pop Warner.
Okay.
Growing up.
Yeah.
I didn't play in high school. High school, I was really just focused on basketball.
Got it.
And track.
Okay.
I wanted to run cross country in high school, because in the mornings on my way to school, I would see guys running off campus, because you know when you play sports in school, you're on campus,
Yeah.
practicing all the time. Well, in the mornings I would see these kids from my high school just running around in the neighborhood, beautiful neighborhood, just running. I'm like, man, that's cool. I want to run off campus.
Sure.
So I went to the track coach, Mr. Martinez, Coach Martinez, who was a football coach, and he was a former Marine, and he's like mean dude, man. I was like, Coach Martinez, I want to run track. He goes, why you want to run track for me? It's like, I want to run cross country. He goes, what's the farthest you ever ran? It's like, I can run far. He's like, all right, we'll see. Come back here later on today. And he had me running, and I made the cross country team.
Wow.
Never ran a meet because
Good for you.
Because it clashed with because now I was an ROTC.
Yeah.
Clashed with my ROTC events I had on the weekend. But I did get a chance to practice a little bit, and I was able to see that I can run. I had this knack for running, and eventually it came up again later when I joined the Marine Corps.
So, the ROTC, you're in high school. What motivated you, or what got you interested in that?
Man. So here we go. So the high school I went to was out of my district. It wasn't in my neighborhood. And my mother would always ask us, when we finished high school, we went to a Catholic school from pre-kindergarten to 8th grade.
Okay.
That was my mom, making sure we had education she wanted us to have, spiritual following that she wanted us to have, all that good stuff, right?
Good job, Mom. Good job.
Yeah, and it paid off, man. And my mom, single mother, working 2 jobs, 3 jobs sometimes, to make sure that she could pay tuition for all of us to be at that school. So kudos to my mom. High school now, that's a college tuition.
Yeah.
And mom was like, she's straight up. She's like, unless you can get a scholarship, I can't do this. So, but she's like, pick whatever high school you want to go to in Houston, and I'll do my best to get you there. So I picked the school I wanted to, Lamar High School. Nice area, River Oaks, and the school looked like a college campus. So that's where I wanted to be. I like big, I just love that whole idea of being in a big school. And the only way I was able to go to school, my mom signed me up for ROTC. And I knew she did. I didn't know anything about ROTC. I wasn't interested in it. I just wanted to play basketball there or see if I can get on the basketball team there. So my first year, I spent the whole first year just like messing around with basketball. Did not take one ROTC class. Didn't even get it in my schedule. Right? And so this is before cell phones and whatnot. This is this is like 88, I think, something like that. That summer after my freshman year, the mom gets a phone call or a letter in the mail, whichever happened first, and it basically said that your son did not participate in ROTC, and if he does not do it this semester, he will not be able to come back to the school. My mother, man, she grabbed me by the ears. It's like, you know what I had to do to get you in that school? You know, blah, 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 blah. You will be in ROTC next year. I was like, yes, ma'am. So I joined ROTC. I'm in first day, I'm sitting in class. I don't want to be there. I'm sulking in my seat. I'm like, this is a waste of my time. I don't want to wear that green uniform that I see people wearing. And this guy, he's a major, and he was the proctor of the class, named Major Williams, Joseph Williams. Looks like Lou Gossett Jr. Remember him?
Yeah.
Lou Gossett Jr.?
Yeah.
Had a gold tooth and everything, bald head. Man, guy was from Louisiana.
Yep.
You know.
Iron Eagle.
And I'm sitting there slouching. He's like, look at me. Sit up straight in your seat, son. I'm like, oh, well, okay. He's like, better look like you want to be here. And I'm like, whoa, why this guy? Like, you know, he just tested me. And I heard him speak and his mannerisms. And I was like that impressed me. Like, as a young black man at the time, growing up in Houston, like, that dude was like, he was like, whoa, I need his mojo.
Was it his confidence, or what was it? It was everything.
Confidence, like, say, the way he walked, the way he talked. Even, like, he was wearing his uniform, but he looked sharp, man.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he had all those looks, but the things that came out of his mouth resonated like he was from where I'm from.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the guy who looks like he's from where I'm from, but he's achieved some greatness. So I'm just like, okay, now I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
And that guy locked me in, bro. He locked me in. And after that, I was in ROTC. That first year, I won the best cadet in Houston.
Wow.
Yeah.
So from going from not taking the classes or having any involvement, this guy made such an impression that
Huge
you were
impression.
on it.
Huge,
right?
man. Huge. And honestly, you know, I was probably looking for something.
Yeah.
And didn't know it. And boom, there it was. And for the next 3 years, my high school life, I devoted my time to ROTC.
What's the racial makeup of the school you're in?
It was predominantly Caucasian, and actually the transfer I was on was called an M&M transfer, minority to majority transfer.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were on that a lot of black kids were on that transfer. But what really got me in, because that transfer, because then there's a quota for that as well. So what got me over that was the ROTC. So the high school in my neighborhood, which was Sharpstown High School, had ROTC, but they had Navy ROTC. My mother told the school district, I don't know, she was very clever, told the school district that, no, he wants to be an Army ROTC. She did her homework. And there was no internet, by the way.
She had to figure all this out.
There wasn't no Google. She couldn't Google it. You know, it was like she had to figure it out. That Lamar had Army ROTC and Sharpstown had Navy ROTC. And she made a case for Army ROTC, which got me into the school. So, again, kudos to my mom, you know, doing what I wanted to go to that school, and she said she'll do whatever she can to do it, and she did. And that's where I met some of my best mentors.
Did the kids in your neighborhood, because you were going to a different school, give you shit for going to that school?
Oh, man. Bro, I've been getting shit for years. So the private school my mom had us going to was out of our neighborhood, and we had to wear uniforms. So I would have to take two city buses to get to school and two city buses to get back home.
Wow.
And by the time I got home, and I'm walking home from this bus stop, and I'm wearing the same clothes every day. White shirt, gray pants. And the kids in the hood are like, dude, you don't have any other clothes? Like, you know, get all the poor jokes. And I'm like, nah. And like, you feel bad. You're like, yeah, I wish I could wear, you know, some regular clothes. But I think that was one of my things why I was so happy to go to high school, because then I could just wear like whatever I wanted to wear.
Sure.
But yeah, I did. In high school though, I didn't get made fun of because all my friends that went to the local school, they knew of the school I was at.
Sure.
And it was a pretty good school, and so no, I didn't get any shit when I was in high school about that. But before that, middle school, oh yeah, bro, wearing a uniform in the hood, people
That's
are like,
funny.
dude, why y'all wearing, like my sisters that had the plaid skirts?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I know.
Your
I know
son's
exactly.
doing that now.
He is. He's got to wear certain
Yeah,
things.
I gotta wear
right?
that. And it's just, you know, we got shit for it, but you know, it made us better for it because
It takes the variable out, right? When you're in school,
Yeah.
when everybody's got to wear the same thing, it just takes that out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I watched some Instagram thing yesterday, and there was a clip, and this dude was wearing $50,000 Nikes. I don't know what they were called, but this kid's in the airport, and a guy walks up. He's like, "How much are those shoes?" He's like, $50,000. Like, all of those things
my
just get
goodness.
in the way,
Yeah.
right? They're in your mind, and then
Yeah.
you know, before social media, it was different, right?
yeah,
But-
yeah.
So you're in ROTC now. How do you go pivot from that to deciding to go into the Marines? Because now the Marines take you really back to the Navy, right?
Yeah. So the Marines, so ROTC, Major Williams was an Army Ranger, right? So this guy had a battlefield promotion during Vietnam. He was with a Ranger battalion.
Wow,
And if you know anything about Rangers, you know,
they're tearing it up.
yeah, they're kicking ass, especially in Vietnam.
Yep.
And he was a machine gunner, M60 machine gunner. And, you know, he's out there with the Rangers doing what they do. His leaders get, you know, they die and all that. He gets a battlefield commission. He went from being a sergeant to a lieutenant.
Out in the field.
Out in the field, right? And so now he's leading his guys. You know, get done with Vietnam. They send him to OCS, Officer Candidate School. He goes to Grambling State in Louisiana, get his degree.
Yeah.
And then he comes back in the Army and he's doing this thing, right? So him, and then his assistant at that school was a guy by the name of Harold Laranang, Master Sergeant Laranang. Master Sergeant Laranang was my martial arts instructor when I was a kid as well. And Master Sergeant Laranang is from Hawaii. We want to talk about badass. This guy was Special Forces, MACSOG V, Vietnam, right? Martial artist. The dude would tell me stories about him like doing killing dudes in Vietnam. You go to his house and you see it's like, bro, like this guy was it. And he was our main drilling. He was our instructor for the drill team, which, by the way, he took us to a championship, state
ROTC championship.
Yeah. So I listened to everything those guys said. I did exactly what those guys said. The hardest lessons I learned from those guys. Every time I thought I was on top of the world, those guys made sure that I knew I was not.
Yeah.
Not today. Every day you're gonna earn it. So I wanted what they had, and what they had in common, both these guys were Special Forces.
Yeah.
So I wanted to jump out of airplanes. I wanted to play with explosives. I wanted a big serrated edge knife. I wanted to do all. I wanted to go to survival school. Like every story I wanted to be in Vietnam. I know Vietnam was way over.
Right.
I wanted to reinvent itself and put me in there.
Yeah.
I just felt like that everything these guys learned from the military made them to be the men that they were in front of me, and I was just like, I just want that.
Yeah.
And so when I had the opportunity to go to recruiting office, I wanted to go Special Forces. And I went to the Army recruiting station. And I'm sorry, Army, I love you guys, but this is a true story. I went to the Army recruiting office, and I went to the office, and these guys got their feet up on the desk. They got some pot bellies, and they got like, this smells like chicken. It smells like KFC everywhere. They're like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Hey, I'll give you $40,000. You sign up right now, bonus. And I was just like, none of those guys look like any of the two dudes that I had been with for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
No one even had jump wings.
What year is this?
This is 90.
Okay.
I graduated in 91.
Before the Gulf War, the first Gulf War.
Yeah, I graduated in 90. I graduated in 91.
Okay.
So this was like 89, 90.
Yeah. And
I'm looking around the room. Like, no one looks fit, first of all. I love you, Army. I do. But this is what happened to me. You guys missed out. Could have had me. Missed out. But none of these guys look fit. And I just had the worst feeling. I was disappointed. I was like, I thought everybody was going to be like
Your
Major
guys,
Williams
yeah.
and Matt Sergeant Laranang. Like, that's what the Army does. Yes, I want some of that. Went there. I was disgusted. I walked out of the office. And now I'm like, dude, what am I going to do now? So I walked across the street to the Air Force. Love your Air Force. You missed out on me too. The recruiter was on the phone. He just kept putting his hand up in front of my face, like, give me 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. I just felt like, dude didn't care.
Yeah.
So I walked out of that office. And I got 2 places left. I got the Navy and Marine Corps. And I was not going to the Navy. I love you, Navy. Gave me a lot of rides to battle. I love you. I love the Chiefs mess. But I don't like wearing bell bottoms. Didn't want to wear the uniform. That was me. I love everything else about the Navy. I love the Navy. I just didn't like the uniform.
Yeah.
Right. So I wasn't gonna go over to that office, even though those guys over that office were cool. I would actually go over and hang out with those guys.
Yeah.
Like when I would, later on when I did go to the Marines and sign up, I would go to the Navy side and I would go hang out with those guys, and they were really cool guys. I just didn't want to wear those.
Yeah.
belt
I don't
bottoms.
blame you.
Yeah. So it's all good. My favorite GI Joe was Shipwreck. Just,
Nice.
Navy, I'm just trying to come on, man. Don't hurt me, Navy. I love you. And then the last was Marines, which is the last place that I would ever have picked to go because of so much, at the time, so much racial tension, so much Full Metal Jacket just came out.
Yeah.
That movie scared the crap out of a lot of people. Moms and dads were like, "You're not going to that service." And
Right.
there's just a lot of stuff going on, in the 80s and the 90s, right?
Yeah.
And so I go in the office, and there's a recruiter in there. His name's Lorenzo Cox. I just saw him last week in Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
He's
pretty cool.
Still a family friend to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a big brother to me. Go in his office. He's got his head down.
You actually like your recruiter, which is
rare.
rare.
Which is rare. This guy was legit, bro. He got me ready. And I go in the office. He goes, "What do you want?" And I go, "I just need some stickers." I was scared.
Yeah.
I was like, "I need some stickers." He goes, "We don't give out stickers." I was like, "Okay," and I just left. Walked out the door.
Yeah.
I got halfway down the hallway, and I was like, "Man, that guy just punked me." I was like, okay, I need to go and face my fears. And so I went back in that office, and he goes, "What do you need?" And I was like, "I need some information about the Marine Corps." He gets up, walks over to me, shakes my hand, crushes my hand, and then after that, that's all he wrote, man. It hooked me. And
Yeah.
I was like, that dude had me running, doing push-ups, pull-ups, had me competing against other people trying to go in. I met one of my best friends there, Matt Mentor. We competed together. So much to where we were going to go in the boot camp together. We decided not to because we didn't want to compete against each other. So he went a week after me. But that's how I went to the Marine Corps.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I didn't even know the Marine Corps. Get this, I didn't know the Marine Corps had special forces. So I thought I lost out on my special forces dream. And so I was just going to do 4 years, get some experience, and come back home, go to college, go to Texas A&M. That's where I always wanted to go. And just do my thing and then go back as an officer. That was my plan.
Yeah.
I just needed 4 years in the military because I just wanted to check myself.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like high school was easy. I felt like I wasn't challenged. And I was like, I'm going to go where these men went, and I'm going to go test the fire. And so when I went to Marine Corps, did it, great. And then right after boot camp, went to my school. After my school, I went to Camp Lejeune. Was at Camp Lejeune waiting to get assigned.
Where'd you go to boot? Out here?
I went to boot right out here at MCRD San Diego.
Yeah.
Yep. Then I went to comm school. I was a radio operator. Went to 29 Palms for about 3 months, I think. And then left there, got orders to North Carolina. Was I was in receiving. Some guys from recon came in. Guys who had long hair. They looked dirty. They're like, we're looking for some volunteers for recon. I'm like, what's that? They're like, we jump out of airplanes, we dive oceans, we do work behind enemy lines. I'm like, yo, right here. I put my hand up. I was like, and I looked at my buddy, Pat. I had a buddy, Pat McElroy. I was like, dude, come with me. Let's go. You could do this too. I coerced him. He put his hand up as well. So I talked him into doing this thing, and we did it, man. And they looked at our books. They said, hey, can you swim? Like, I swim like a fish. It's like, that's not what it says here. I was like, they didn't even look at me in boot camp. Trust me. They were just keeping us going.
Yeah.
Put our stuff in the back of the truck. They go, follow this truck. Dude, we followed that truck for 10 miles, running behind it.
Wow.
This is back. You could do that. You can't do that now.
Yeah. Yeah. Just testing to see.
Just testing to see. It was like, if anybody fall out, all you guys are done.
Yeah.
And that was the standard they put on us. It was like 5 of us that they collected up, and ran us halfway to Onslow Beach, then put us in the back of the truck, got us to Onslow Beach, and then everything they told us, that if either one of you guys fail anything, all of you guys are gone. So clearly we didn't fail.
Yeah.
We made sure each other didn't fail, and that's when my life began.
Wow.
Yeah.
So boot camp here,
Yep.
MCRD, you go through that process. What was the biggest shocker in boot camp?
The biggest shocker was guys crying because they didn't want to be there. Like, I thought everybody wanted to be there.
You signed up,
I was like,
right?
why would you sign up for this? Like, if you didn't want to be, like, guys literally crying. And then some guys, like, getting testy with drill instructors. Like, want to fight. Like saying, fuck you. Like, to a drill. I'm like, dude, you better lose your life.
Yeah.
But the drill instructors had so much, restraint. And that's not always the case, man. But, like, that was the big shocking thing. Like, dudes there, like, how'd you get here, bro?
Yeah.
And I know how they got there because they had weak recruiters.
Yeah.
Not like my recruiter, Lorenzo Cox, retired first sergeant up there in Atlanta, Georgia right now. Like, these guys, like, their recruiters didn't prepare them.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally did not prepare them. Like, they were soft, man.
Yeah.
I went in boot camp and all I wanted to do was be the leader. My recruiter's like, you got to be a squad leader, be a guide. And that's what I did. I did everything he told me to do. And boot camp was like, I ain't gonna say cake, but it wasn't as hard as it could have been because I was prepared.
Mm-hmm. Preparation, right?
Yeah.
Mark, we're going to add that to our list, our success list at the end. Mark runs a podcast, by the way. So
let's go, Mark.
People are like, who the hell
Mark,
is
can I be on your podcast?
So you go through this very regimented boot camp, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the start, right?
Yeah.
And then now you graduate into this special operations component of the Marine Corps. And I remember asking my father when I was young, because I'm probably 5-6 years older than you, I'm 55. And I'm like, hey, is there a special operations, component to the Marine Corps? He's like, yeah, it's separate. Like, they don't want as part of everybody else. He goes, because, we'll kill everybody. And he would joke around, right? And he's Chosen Reservoir, like, he was... His whole existence had an impact on me, even though I didn't go into the military, but that always stuck with me, right? Yeah. And his whole, I could take him as a man and say, he was a father, he was a medical examiner, he had 3 advanced degrees. You could go through the list of stuff. If you had asked him his list, it would have been 1, Marine, 2, Christian, 3, father. That would have been the list. And then it would have been 100 other things after that, right? So you go in, now you're in Special Forces, and people don't, they think SEALs, Rangers, Deltas, PJs, whatever. And they talk about Special Forces, Special Operations. And we're blessed here. Like, people in the United States really, they'll go see a movie and they're like, oh my God, Lone Survivor. Yeah. Or they'll watch this or they'll watch that. But, talk a little bit about, like, the latitude you have in Special Forces, the mission, the objection, what you're used for. And let's talk pre-9/11, right? Yeah. So what was that transition like from going from this very structured, and even though the Marines are the smallest, organization in the military, it's still pretty regimented. Yeah. The special operations side compared to, big military. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, especially in the Marine Corps. So in the Marine, first of all, every Marine's a rifleman, right? That's what we say. It doesn't matter what your job is. Every Marine is trained to do infantry functions, right? Marine Corps is a war-fighting organization, not a humanitarian, not anything else. We fight wars, drop bombs, expend bullets. That's what we do. That's what we get trained to do. Maneuver warfare, supporting fires with our tanks, with our our howitzers, our artilleries, our mortars. All those sections are to support the infantryman. Everything the Marine Corps does supports the infantry man on the ground, right? So then you have that. That's your conventional force in the Marine Corps. We call that the fleet. And then you have recon and force recon, which is your special operations side of it, which up until 2006, the Marine Corps was not part of the conglomerate of Special Operations
JSOC
Command, JSOC, anything like that. They had a chance to do it in the 80s, and the Marine Corps said, no, we are an elite within an elite. And basically what that means is the Marine Corps commanders, combat commanders, don't like sharing their Marines with anybody. And that's true. That's still true to this day. So that's why the Marine Corps took a pass on joining SOCOM back in the day when they put it out there for everybody to join. Everyone, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and Marines to send your special forces over to us, and we'll create another special forces on top of that. The Marine Corps was like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to share our guys with you. So the way that works is so the Marine Corps has control over everything. So even in recon, even though we're special forces and we have a little bit of latitude in some of the things we can do, but there was still no flair like you see in other branches of service with special forces, where you have their conventional forces and you have their special forces. Like the Army is a good example. You have Army infantry, and then you have SF. SF community, you can see it's night and day.
Yeah.
Like those guys have most times different uniforms, different boots, relaxed grooming standards, better weapons, different everything.
Yeah.
Marine conventional force, Marine recon. The only difference is that we're probably in the field more. That's it.
Really?
There's no uniforms the same. Like back in those days, uniform was the same. The only thing we got to do was probably wear UDT shorts more than everyone else. And if we were doing doing shooting missions, we get to wear flight suits.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest distinguishing factor.
Yeah.
Between regular Marine Corps and recon.
Yeah.
And we cherish that. We love wearing our UDT shorts, and we love when we can put on a flight suit. Oh my goodness. Like it was like the best thing ever.
Comfort.
That was comfort, and it just made us feel different because we were different, right? We had a different job. But being recon in the Marines is very proud because there's a very proud history that goes along with reconnaissance. There's a lot of untold stories in the reconnaissance history that there's not a lot of movies, there's not a lot of books, and a lot of times when people talk about special forces, they forget that Marines have a special forces section.
Yeah,
it's because our specialty is reconnaissance. It's not being seen, not being heard. So we do that very well, meaning, even with, we don't write books, we don't create movies. We take it seriously when someone says you're going to sign this letter, this non-disclosure form, and we take it seriously because our job is surveillance.
Yeah,
that's our primary mission. And in order to be really good at surveillance, you have to be able to disappear. And even if you just did something, you have to really pretend like you didn't do it. So there's no instant gratification. There's no pat on the back. There's no attaboys.
Yeah.
You're out there in the bush for days on end, pissing and shitting in the bag, burying everything. There's no inclination that you were ever around. And I still hold that true, even with our rugby team. Every time we go away somewhere, we go to a hotel, I go, guys, clean it up. Every time we leave a place like we were never there. That's what I tell the boys. Like no one can know we were ever here. And that comes from my reconnaissance brain, right? And that's how we are. So you don't talk about the things you do. And incidentally, today is 0321 day. Today is Recon Day, by the way.
Oh,
March
I didn't
21st.
know that. Yeah,
March 21st. So our MOS is 0321.
Yeah.
So today is March 21st. We dubbed this day. So I'll be at Ballast Point tonight, drinking some beers with some of my brothers.
Good date to remember,
yeah,
right? People remember the Marine Corps birthday. A lot of people don't know that the Marine Corps birthday is prior to 1776, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the more remarkable, you carry on about the Marine Corps, and we're going to talk more about it, but when the Brits were here and we were fighting them, they burned the shit out of the White House. They burned it to the ground, but they left the Marine Commandant's house because they respected how the Marines fought, right?
Yeah.
And that holds true to this day. I totally get after 9/11, a lot of the books and people coming out from the shadows, like nobody really knew what the team guys did,
Mm-hmm.
and now there's a lot of books, the JTech guys, et cetera, et cetera. So it's interesting that you say that. And, some of these books have to go through the government office to get them,
Absolutely.
redacted and cleaned up.
Yeah.
But people in the U.S. in World War II, everybody knew somebody that served.
Yeah.
Even Vietnam, everybody knew this. No, a lot of people don't know. They just are completely isolated from that, and I think it's not a good thing, right? But in an all volunteer force, you're going to have some of that because there's just people are making a choice, and in some communities are like, I'm not sending my kid, right? And that's I think that history it falls short in the schools as well. We talk about the Dark Ages, we talk about this, we talk about civil rights, we talk about blah 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 blah. Nobody talks about Tarawa. Nobody talks about the Gulf War. Nobody talks about modern history, right? What shapes where we are today and the events of today. But you were part of those events. So Gulf War I, are you in the Marine Corps at that time?
Boot camp.
So
So I graduated high school in 91.
got it.
Gulf War happened just prior to, I was still in boot camp.
Okay.
So by the time I got out of boot camp, it was over. I graduated boot camp, was it January? Yeah. I went in October. I know when I went in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember when I graduated because,
Yeah.
man, you don't keep track of days or anything like that. But when I got to 2nd Recon Battalion in 92, all those guys had been in the Gulf.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, and anyone who's joined the military right out on the coattails of a war or doing the war, and you're the newbie, and you got war hardened dudes in your barracks.
Yeah.
Bro, you don't say a word. You keep your mouth shut. You try to not even be relevant, because these guys are just itching for something to do.
Right.
And to try to make you harder than what they are, because they just experienced something that maybe they weren't 100% prepared for.
Yeah.
So now you're part of all their new, testing of like, okay, hey, we're going to run 5 miles and then hike 8 miles and then run 10 miles and then swim 6 miles. And then we're going to go on a patrol because in Iraq, that's what we had to do. Like, okay, well, shit, man. Maybe that's not a good idea right now.
Right.
But so I came in where all these guys were just like, they're just tough, man. And and every story was like, oh, we were in Iraq. We had all that. And that's all I heard.
Yeah.
That's all I heard while I was my first year I was in recon. So I was trained by the best. And a lot of those guys, I'm still friends with today. I'm still friends with today. And I see them, every now and then. My first team leader, Mo, I see him every year. He comes out. He came out this last year for the Marine Corps birthday. That guy, superhero to me, and still to he only did 6 years, but in that time he had with me, he taught me so much, and I tell him every time, I said, man, like I did 22 years, and I was doing 22 years based on like 2 years of stuff that you taught me, and he's like, dude, no, man, I was like, you have no idea, Mo, you were a superhero back then, bro. So those guys that fought in the first Gulf War were awesome. They taught me a lot.
You when you rewind the tape, right, you go back into the Vietnam War, was like 1974, 1975. Mm-hmm. There were some guys from Vietnam that were in the first Gulf War, right?
They're still around. Yeah, my first sergeant, being one of them, First Sergeant Duke. He was an Army MAXOG V Special Forces guy. Got out of the Army after Vietnam and then Korea, and then switched over to the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And joined the Marine Corps. He did an inter-service transfer, and Marine Corps made him a staff sergeant when he came in. And this guy's been there, done it, got the T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
And now he's my First Sergeant Duke. This guy would have classes he would have, like, I was in Delta Company. He was Delta Company's first sergeant, and we have classes in full, like camo. Like we're not going to the field. He's just giving us a class, and we had to show up to that class with all of our kit, face cami, weapons clean, everything, like we're going to step out on patrol, because he was giving us a class, and he just wanted to make it as realistic as possible.
What makes you comfortable and get used to wearing that?
Yeah. I thought he was nuts.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, what's he doing, man? Yeah. And he had streaking white hair, man. The guy would just be like looking at you, and like it's like some money was stolen out of his office. So he was missing a couple dollars out of his office one time. and swear we all thought we had sleptwalk and took his money by accident because he's the type of guy you don't want to steal from, and you just like, I hope it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And you start thinking it was you. And you're just like, was it me? I hope not. Did I accidentally take this guy? Because you just did not want to mess with him.
Yeah.
But those are the type of people, type of Marines I had in my life early on.
Sure.
After the Gulf War, before I actually went to my first engagement.
First engagement for you?
Was can I talk about that?
Where were you on 9/11?
9/11, I just got home. 9/11, I just got back off deployment, and I was on my couch in Solana Beach and eating cereal, and I saw the plane hit. I was like, "Oh, wow, that's a bad accident." And then the second one hit, I was like, "Oh, hey, that is not an accident."
Yeah.
And I be honest with you, and I don't say this publicly ever. I've probably said it to a couple friends, but my first thought was, now everybody will know what I know, because I've been over there, like dealing with this. I had just got back from the Gulf, and people trying to kill us all the time.
Yeah.
For what? Why? Like, why are you so mad at us? What do we do? Right? But we're out there, and I was in Jordan, at a particular time, and we're getting attacked.
Yeah.
Like, this is before all of this, and it's like stuff we can't talk about it, but this stuff happens.
Sure.
And so when I'm sitting there and I'm watching this and all of a sudden these planes are crashing and people are dying, and I'm like, this evilness is on our doorstep. I'm like, now people will know the evil that I know that exists.
Yeah.
And I wasn't happy that it happened, but I was kind of like, yep, see? Yeah. You see why we have to go away. You see why we deploy. You see why we protect our waters. You see why they send us over there. It's not like, because at the time, I think a lot of people were complaining about us being on deployment and taxpayers' money and military, you need to reduce us and all this stuff. And I think my sentiment was, yeah, you want to reduce us? Really? And so it was game on.
Yeah.
So I was waiting on the call. I got a call. Asking if I wanted to go back out with another platoon that was getting ready to go. And I respectfully declined because I knew that my platoon was going to be going right back there again.
Out, yeah.
And the best thing you can do for yourself and for your platoon is to try to stay together. Yeah, if you guys have already been fighting together for a year, you want to kind of keep that continuity.
Sure.
I don't mind. I would have loved to gone to the other platoon, but I wanted to stay with my team and keep our continuity in case we had to go there and fight. I want to fight with my brothers, even though the other guys, I knew them too. Yeah. But we had not trained.
Sure. You hadn't worked together at the same level.
Yeah.
The synergies weren't there. Yeah.
So, but we did. We followed suit later on, and we were all in it together.
Yeah. So, before that time, I know you can't talk about some of the things you were doing, but, I certainly remember the history of you. The World Trade Center in '93. We, tried to detonate a bomb, or did detonate a bomb and killed a handful of people. Then there was, the USS Cole.
Yeah.
With the boat that ran into it and killed, I think, 18 sailors.
I was in that area when that happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there were Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
The African embassies that got blown up. And, you can keep, making the list of these things happen. And it just seemed like nobody was doing anything, right? Like it was kind of lip service. Now, stuff was going on probably in the background.
Yeah.
But how kinetic can you be without people noticing, right?
Yeah.
And, you can surveil, you can take certain action, but you can't take like large kinetic action without people noticing. Launching cruise missiles into an old camp, that's, sometimes a distraction for other stuff that was going on,
Absolutely.
Right? But once that happened, so 9/11, you now end up where?
So
where's your first deployment?
So now I'm so now we're looking at, okay, hey, we got the word. We're going. We're gonna go fight. We're gonna probably spin up faster than our normal cycle. I just got back. So I know I was on leave and they said, hey, your leave's good. Chill, we're not gonna call you. And as soon as we came off leave, boom, we spun up. And then I say, oh, let's see, that was 2021. Yeah, and then we spun up and we crossed, and we did everything we did, all the training, everything. So we all knew where we were going, and we took a ship. We went over, and my group. I'm happy we stayed together because I had a great team and had a great platoon. A platoon commander. We're all mates. We used to surf together every day. So there's nothing like going down range with your family, right?
Yeah.
With your friends. So we went, and in March of 2003. Yep, that's when we crossed over, and
this is Iraq, right?
This is Iraq. Yeah. So I crossed over at a place near the border called Qasar, and that's when we went all the way through there, all the way up to Nasiriyah. So that's how far we traveled.
Wow.
Yeah. We didn't go to Baghdad. We weren't even supposed to go to Nasiriyah. We were supposed to just go all the way up to, I think, Bosier. The English, the Brits had I don't know if that's right. English, Brits, what do I call them?
Brits.
The Brits.
It works here. Nobody's going to get mad about that.
I love them, though. The English, that sounds too proper. I just call them the Brits, the boys, the good old boys. We met up with them in Basra, saw them take some casualties, man. Those boys were in a bad situation. They're in a position where they didn't have a lot of information on what was going on, and they was trying to do some humanitarian stuff. And like I said, Marine Corps, that's not what we do. So we come through there, we're trying to destroy everything. We're just trying to stay alive, and like if you're gonna flex on us, we're gonna flex back times 10. And I just felt like those guys in Basra was just not protected as well, and But anyway, we kept going, and then we hit Nasiriyah, and we had a lot of fighting in Nasiriyah. But it wasn't like sad. I know I might sound like it's sad, and I'm sorry with the microphone if I sound sad, but I'm just like I don't know how to say it. But for me, I'll put it like this. When you look at a professional athlete, they want to go to Super Bowl, don't they? They want to go to championship. Well, war is our championship. So when I talk about this inside, I'm like, fuck yeah, man. We had a good time.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say. Like, we had a good time.
Yeah.
But the sentiment is there because, there's some bad stuff that happened, but that's war. That's what happens.
Yeah.
That's the expectation. Someone's going to get their head blown off right in front of you, and you're going to like, whoa, shit. He had a wife, kid, daughter, son, dog, catfish. All that stuff flashing in your head. But you don't lose focus of where you are because there's a bullet for everybody in combat. It's got your name on it. Just a matter of time when it finds you.
Yeah.
And so you got to be okay with that because if you're not okay with that, then it slows you down. And if it slows you down, you're not being yourself. You're not fighting the way you need to fight. So in all those places we went, that first interaction in 2003 was good. Let's go. And
because it was push, it was aggressive, right?
It was aggressive. We was on every call. We had rules. We had rules of engagement, but the enemy dictated a lot of what we did, like their threats and the stuff that they were doing. I'm like, oh, you guys are doing that? Oh, okay, cool, gotcha. Like we were in mop kit for like 2 months. I didn't take a shower for 30 days. I was in mop level 4 or 5, whatever it is now.
It was chem suit, right?
Yeah, just in that chem suit, man. Just sweaty balls, just like, bro, just the nastiest of nastiness. It's just, you just smell it.
For 30 days.
Yeah, and then we all smell the same. And then I remember my hair was so long and matted up and everything. I wore a beanie like all the time. And then we had a break. I needed to wash my hair, right? Like I was so filthy. I didn't want to take a bath. I just needed to wash my hair. I just felt like my brain was getting clogged up. I was like, I couldn't think straight. And we pulled over side of the road for a second. We were on this long convoy on the way to Nasiriyah. We're just down the road from Nasiriyah where we're gonna park and camp. And I was like, I got on the radio and I just asked the boss, like, hey man, how long are we gonna be here? He goes, probably 15 minutes and then we're gonna be moving. I was like, all right, cool. I jump out of the truck. I got a canteen of water and I got some shampoo. And I just washed my hair on the side of the road, full mop suit, didn't care, just all that, rinse it out, and I was like, shit, I feel so much better now.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next target, right? And so, no, it was good, man. Like that was a good trip. That was a really good trip for us, for our platoon. We did some really cool stuff.
Did you bring your guys back?
Yeah. We brought everybody back. In my platoon, we brought everybody back. The last part of the deployment we all got, we call it the NAS, because we were in Nazareth. We got dysentery.
Oh,
Yeah,
that sucks.
we were shitting all over ourselves, and we're trying to poke each other with IVs, and still trying to go on missions. Me and my buddy, Hugger, that's his nickname. I'm not gonna say his real name, but me and Hugger would go out every night and go hunting. We go out in town, and we go on top of this building, a couple of buildings that we had scouted out, and he was a sniper, and I was just a spotter, and we'd just be looking for somebody to pop.
Yeah.
Just bad guys, because the people in the area that we were in were starting to move back in because they were dislocated. Saddam's forces had ridden them, had kicked them out of their homes, and people were on the street and all this stuff. And when we came in, people start coming back. And what I think a lot of people don't know about that war is that in the media you see, oh, get out of here, America, but like you didn't see all the kids that was like, thank you, all the moms that were like, thank you, all the fathers that were like, thank you. They were like, everyone was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that just made us do our job even more.
Sure.
Right.
People if you ask somebody now, they just give you the binary, bad idea, shouldn't have gone, right?
Yeah.
And I think you can argue the execution of that whole
Absolutely.
thing. But
Yeah.
between the first Gulf War and the second one, like when Saddam shot at coalition planes like 3,500 times, he went and killed all those Kurds.
Yeah.
He had bad guys in and out of Iraq. The Food for Oil program. His kids were bastards, right? Like they kidnapped people from a wedding.
We stayed in Saddam's, like my second trip there, we stayed in one of his bodyguards' palaces, right? But and I also did a bodyguard, not bodyguard, we call it personal protection detail for the Kurds, for the guy who was running for president. So when they captured Saddam, Iraq was hoping for a new president, and all the nominees, from everywhere, all the tribes, and we were assigned to the Kurds. So they gave us like a little pause. So all we were doing, this is 2004. I'm out there again with a different unit, with Det 1, if you haven't heard of them, but we were just a hand-picked force to go out and just go do D8 all day. So basically, I would
direct action for everybody.
Yeah. So I would just eat, sleep, mission brief, nap, go capture somebody, then go back, have breakfast with the boys, play video games, hit the weight room, go back to sleep, mission brief, go capture somebody. That was I was yoked, bro. I was like I got like to 230.
Jeez.
My neck was thick. I was like, we just lifting weights and eating eggs all
This is Deck
all
of Cards guys, right?
Yeah,
Still at the time?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going after all those guys. And during that time, when you talk about the Kurds, there was, when they had the big presidency, everyone's in the green zone. The green zone was like the protected area, the political area, and all we were doing was just rolling deep every night, every other night, and then they pulled us off that to help out with security for the Kurdish president. And dude, those guys. So when you mentioned the Kurds, this was what the story came up, like what Saddam did to the Kurds. Those dudes were hot about it.
Yeah.
So when we went to go protect them, he had his own game, and we were in we came into his house. He lived out in town. He didn't want to live in green zone where it's protected, so we had to go out and fight through all these weirdos, all the mujahideen and everybody else to get to him.
Yeah.
Every time, like, just, man, we were like telling our boss, like, sir, you got to get this guy to move on the green zone. We're gonna get clipped one of these days. So we get to his house, to his area, and it's like his guys, AAKs on us. We're like, whoa, hey, we're friendlies, and it's like us versus them, and we're like, dude, this is already turned out bad. But eventually, we all became friends and met his bodyguard, his lead guy versus our lead. We all became one crew, but we had to escort him every day for meetings to the green zone. And we didn't want to do that mission because we didn't come out there to do that. We didn't have clothes, civilian clothes, and all that stuff. And so we did it for like 2 weeks, and then they got us off that and put us back out in the streets again. But yeah, the Kurds, the things that Saddam had did to people, like when you're there on the ground, they tell you what he did.
Yeah.
Like we went to a prison and opened up a prison, and you got people with their tongues cut off.
Yeah. Yeah.
missing fingers, missing eyes, because they said something against Saddam.
Yeah.
This whole prison was for people who said something against him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they said something against him.
Just said it. Yeah.
And they silenced them. And
Yeah.
and you meet these people, and they're hugging you, and they got no tongue, they got no eyeballs, they got no hands, they got no fingers. Just like, who does that?
Yeah. When you said something before, it actually gave me a chill when you were saying good and evil. And, there's people that I talk to that just don't believe in that concept.
Yeah.
And I believe in that concept. I've seen it.
It's
Not to the extent,
It's
but
out
there's
there.
evil.
Oh, bro, it's out there.
And
It's real.
It's real, and it bothers me. And you can't prove it to someone, because all I'm doing is telling them. Until they see it, they don't know, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen anywhere close to what you've seen, but I've seen enough to know. But you know that it exists, and we're fortunate that we don't see it here as often. We see little pockets of it. There's crime. There's people that do bad things here, but you don't have like a president's 2 kids go to a wedding, kidnap the bride, assault her sexually, and then have your pet lion or tiger eat her and the groom. Like, that's not. People don't even know that happened, and there are thousands of stories like that in these different places, right? So you're there, you're bonding with these guys that you're going to battle with, right?
Yeah.
And the first press into Iraq is you're doing your job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes this political game, right? To a point, like the Fayadeen, they're attacking supply lines, and the IEDs and all of that. And I mean, we could talk about this stuff for 100 hours. We're going to have you back to talk about it. But so what was the difference now when you go back in the post deployments after the first one? Because now you're not doing what a Marine does, which is blow things up and kill people.
Right.
Now you're in a different.
Now you're policing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit.
So one of the biggest differences, the first time we went, we didn't have to worry about IEDs, right? Second time we went, IEDs. And the vehicles that I was driving in on the streets of Iraq chasing bad guys would have not protected us against any IED. So from the first trip to the second trip, now you have these IEDs, right? From the first trip to the second trip, now it's just capture kill missions. It's bag and tag. I don't care what the house looks like. I don't care what room I got him in. Just grab him, boom, whatever. He's a bad guy. Let's do it. Now that we're trying to build this judicial system in Iraq, now we're the Iraqi police strong arm. So every time we go do a mission, when we go out and if we kill somebody, we have to show evidence that he was worth the bullet, or he warranted the bullet, meaning that he had a weapon in his hand. Here's the weapon, here's fingerprints, here's da-da-da-da. If we go into a house and no one was there and we search the place, we have to find evidence of why we were there. We became a police force.
Yeah.
Right? That was the difference. The difference was we still planned the same, but we just added this other layer of what we call SSE, where we actually kind of process the target site, intensely. And we bring back evidence, and then they would have court, and then sometimes we would have to go on, like a lack of a better term, a Zoom call with the Iraqi judicial system to say, yeah, that's the guy.
Wow.
If I caught a guy, so we go into a house, we clear a house, and bad guy's in room, he's in the room that I'm in, and I get him before he has his gun. Boom, he doesn't get a bullet, right? So I bag and tag him, I got him, he's my prisoner now. So at the end of that mission, when we take him back to the base, I have to sit on him that night, because I know everything that I saw he had on him in that room. I know what was in that room. I knew all his actions. So I had first eyes on him. So I'm gonna have the last eyes on him until he's taken away to a bigger facility.
Yeah.
But for the meantime, he's gonna be at a temporary holding facility that we have near our little camp, and myself and whoever else was in the room with me, we literally have to sit on him, and while he does his questionings and all that stuff, but I handle him for the rest of the night. And so that was the twist.
Yeah.
We had
totally different
these extra duties.
Yeah.
Where before I just bag attack a guy, boom, throw him in a vehicle, drop him off. I'm back in my room, playing me and my buddy, we play Navy SEALs.
Yeah, that's funny.
We play Special Forces.
Don't tell those guys that.
Oh, I don't care. We played it because it was we needed entertainment. There was nothing else to do.
Yeah.
We were getting mortared every day. So you just need something to break up the monotony. I mean, like where we stayed, where we getting mortared.
Yeah.
Until we put a mission together. When it got them, they were mortared. Now it's finally we silenced that. So there was always a lot of work to do, but you're right. The job kind of changed as the politicalness started to like really rise and rise. Then we had to be really careful about a lot of things, and be more of a police force and not a combat direct action force.
There was the media went nuts on, because they embedded reporters in, right,
man.
which I didn't. Probably not a good idea. And I remember this young guy walking in. They were clearing the room. Guy's busted up on the ground. He's not obeying commands. They shot him, right? And they should have. You don't know if the guy's got a grenade, if he's going to click something off, whatever. But people here, now that 9/11's kind of settled, they're not worried about it anymore. There's no more, smell of burning fuel and bodies that when they go to New York. It's like, oh, well, why did you do that? Why didn't you give him a flower or take him, give him a sandwich? Like, it's like, come on, man. And now, granted, there's a fine line of going too far and not protecting your guys, and you got to find that. But it changes day to day, right? You get the black water guys. You're getting called out. The Hadifa thing with the Marines, where you get attacked and you fire some rounds and you hit some people that are in that area. It's like, bro, if you were in Carlsbad and somebody was, shooting from the house next door and you didn't do anything about it for X period of time, and then something happened to your house, it's going to happen, right? So it was hard to watch all of that stuff, but I would guess the mission changed. Well, how many times did you go back?
To Iraq 3 times, and then Afghanistan 3 times.
Wow. In worst, and you didn't get into detail. I'm not trying to dredge up things, but like, what was the hardest event there for you to deal with?
Hardest event. Like I said, man, I kept everything in perspective. I knew where I was at all times. I knew that bad things were going to happen, so nothing was ever a real surprise. But I would say probably the biggest surprise was when I was in Afghanistan. In 06, 07, we had a partner force. We had these Afghans that we've been working with. They go on missions with us. And we know these guys, and we had names for them, and some of these guys were really good fighters. Some of these guys had been there for a long time, and the Taliban had done them wrong, and so when these guys start working with us, they get marked out in town as guys that are working with us, and so we try to help them keep their secrecy and stuff like that. But then sometimes the Taliban finds them and would lash out on them. So these guys were on they had a little time off, and they were out in town getting shaves and haircuts with little money that we gave them.
Yeah.
And they got ambushed and got blown to pieces. And they come run to the base asking for help. And so, we're just hanging out because we're off too. We're just like, okay, we got like a week. We're not going to do any operations. And these guys come to our base. They're outside our base, and the gate guard, we had that small little base, Special Forces base. The guy at the gate was like, hey, you guys got your Afghanis are out here, asking for you. Like, what? So we're just in like PT gear, like shorts and flip flops, and we just put my helmet on, put my flak on. We get in the vehicle, we go out to the gate, and we meet them, and they're just bloodied up. And one of them got one of the pickup trucks that we give them, and we say, hey, we got guys, they're all over the place, and we say, hey, we give them a truck, go get them and get them here, because and that is a mass casualty. Guys are coming wounded. The guy comes back with a truck full of body parts.
Wow.
Like guys' arms, legs, and they're asking us to put him back on him. Like they're like, can you help him? Can you put him? I'm telling you, Nick, this is something on like a Halloween movie, right? With a pickup truck full of,
pieces of
arms and legs, and we got guys on the table. We got all our medics, the medics from the Marine Special Forces, the medics from the Army Special Forces guys, and the SEALs. We're all triaging these guys and trying to save these guys' lives. Like, we're saving it, we're doing it like it's our own.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the stuff you don't see in the movies. People write about it, which is fine, but that's what happens. Like, our partner force, who is not better fighters than we are, but these guys have the balls to go on missions with us and to go out there when they're afraid.
Yeah.
And now they're out there and they're getting blown up. Yeah, we're going to take care of those guys. And so we get these guys on base, and we're trying to like put them back together. And then we were angry.
Yeah.
Like, we wanted to go out to that village and just go find those dudes, find them and kill them all. And we weren't allowed to do that. You can't do that, right? That's not part of that's not part of the script, right? But the emotions that I had, because I was the second in command, and and these guys that rode with us, like rode and died. One guy, we called him Blue. And we call him Blue because, the movie, that's, you're my boy, Blue, right?
Yeah.
This guy was one of the older guys, and he was a very trustworthy guy. He already lost a finger messing with the Taliban years ago. And then on a mission with me, he was behind my vehicle. We did this assault, ambush some Taliban one morning, 3-prong attack, and all he had to do was follow my tracks. Like, we rehearsed this, follow my tracks. My vehicle's moving, and then we hear a boom behind us. I asked my gunner, I go, what was that? He goes, oh, man, our Afghan truck just blew up. I'm like, what? And we stop. We get mortars coming down. We're in the middle of a fight, big time fight. And I stop. I stop the vehicle. I go, are they moving? He goes, some of them are getting out. I'm like, all right, we got to go back and get these guys. Now, obviously, they just hit an IED or mine. We get out of the vehicles on foot, and we run back.
So you can step on whatever.
Bro,
yeah.
We didn't care. At this point, it's like, we got to get those guys. We had sensitive equipment on that vehicle as well. We had machine guns and some other things that we gave them. But we need to get there and get these guys out of this impact zone. So I get there, I run there. My EOD guy goes with me. We get there. There's a guy still in the truck, and his body's twisted. His head's one place and his feet are the other place. It's just twisted. Spine's broken. You can tell, but he's still alive, trying to stay alive. Me and the medic, we get him out of the vehicle carefully. You can smell the death. You can smell that something's not right? And so we get him out, and I'm holding him up, and my medic is my doc, he's just trying to get his airway open, trying to get his fingers in his mouth and try to intubate him, get something. We're trying to save this dude's life while we're getting shot at and everything else. This is an Afghan. It's not American. And we get him intubated. We get him back to our vehicle. We get all the stuff off. We get back to the vehicle, and we keep moving. And and then Blue, my boy Blue, is where we went. Blue had his arm outside the window and got caught into like where the window goes like this.
Yeah.
And pretty much skinned his flesh from his wrist all the way up to his elbow.
Avulsion, yeah.
Yeah. Pulled it all the way back. And he's just screaming, like out of his mind. Get him, wrap it up, and bottom line, we got all those guys extracted out of there, right? 3 months later, now we have that mass casualty. Blue is one of the guys that show up.
Oh, man.
We see Blue. Blue took a bullet to the collarbone. We see Blue, and we're like, Blue! He's like, oh, and he's like hugging us. We're like, dude, because when that happened to Blue, we gave Blue, like, he got honorable discharge, bro.
Yeah.
Blue didn't have to play anymore. We're like, all right, you're done, dude. Because he had to chop his arm off. Like, you're done. 3 months later, we see Blue show up at the thing, and he's so happy to see us. And we're talking to him, da-da-da, and I have my interpreter here, and I'm, like, asking questions. He's asking me questions. And Blue asked me one question. He's like, where's my phone? I'm like, your phone? And the interpreter's like, yeah, his phone. When he got hurt, you took his phone. I said, yeah, I took your phone. I put it in a plastic bag in your pocket. And that's all Blue wanted to know. He's like, Bo, where's my phone? Run to my phone. I'm like, dude, this is all you got
surreal.
Right? You have a bullet in your collarbone. You're missing a hand. And all you care about is where I put your phone 3 months ago? I just gave him a big hug.
Yeah.
But that was probably, like, I didn't have any fearful moments out there. I just had ones that I'll never forget. Yeah. And that's one of the ones where we're taking care of our guys and, the destruction and the evilness of payback. And as much as we want to do payback, we can't. We can't do payback. But our enemies can do payback all day.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't have to play by the rule, right?
Completely unfair. But yet we hold our ground and we try to stay humane and not go to that evil dark side. And that's what we have to deal with.
Yeah.
And that's the shit that I deal with. When I see evil shit happening and no one doing anything about it, that pisses me off.
And that with the withdrawal from Afghanistan, there's a whole nother chapter. How did that impact you?
Yeah, I wasn't there, so I don't really know what was on the ground and know what was going on.
As an observer, though.
I see it as an observer. It looked really crazy, but then I know some things that like you look at some of the pictures of like the back of it, inside of an aircraft, you see all these Afghans sitting there, And then, then you see a picture, they say, oh, it's empty. Like, okay, stop it. That's Photoshop. Don't tell me that. And then the one where you see people like attached to the aircraft and all that stuff, that wasn't an empty bird flying. That's literally what it's like in a country that is oppressed, and they have nothing, and everyone who has something keeps it from everyone else. Like, these people don't have lights. They live in mud huts, and even that they don't have anything, the only thing they want is their kids to have a better life than them, and the people that can give it to them don't want to. So when they see that freedom bird, they will attach themselves to it. That wasn't some whatever. Those people probably broke through fence lines. But the question is, who's the media person that filmed it?
Right.
And how did they get that close? And how did they not get trampled over?
Yeah.
Like, so there's a lot of things that's out of place with that whole piece. Again, I wasn't on the ground. I heard a testimony last week by a Marine who testified in front of Congress about when he lost his arm, and they had a VBED. They knew a VBED was coming. They had an identity, and no one did anything about it. He couldn't get any word from up higher to do anything. And that's the difference, man, really, between conventional and special forces. Special forces, we have the ability to plan and communicate and do it very fast and quickly, and we try not to put ourselves in positions that where we can't win.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like when you're on a security post,
just sitting down,
trying to keep 1,000 Afghans from coming in, that is the freaking worst place to be.
Yeah.
But I tell you, every Marine, every soldier, every Air Force, every sailor that gets told to run that post, that would guard that post to the best of their ability, with or without, copious amount of ammunition, food, sleep, water, you name it. They're going to do it because they're told to do it and they know it's their duty. And what sucks is sometimes, the powers that be they can't see what's at the ground level. They can't see it because they don't go down there, and they get reports, but the reports don't paint the perfect picture. And so then you have these young Marines, and they get overwhelmed and overran and lose lives, lose limbs, shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's just bad. And I've been fortunate to be working the capacity that I worked in, where I relied on intel, and if it didn't smell right, I'm like, fuck that, we're not doing it. If it didn't look right, we're not fucking doing it. Okay, hey, this doesn't look right, we're gonna do it, but we're gonna bring this bird to the party and that bird to the party, and we're gonna call that bird to the party. I got 3 Spectre gunships, and I've been in a position where we crossed the Wadi, and before we went any further, the big bird gets on the radio with me and say, hey, hold your position. You're surrounded by 20 Taliban. We're gonna take care of that for you. And then they're popping 40 Mike right next to my vehicle. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you go to the party. That's how we go to the party.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yeah. As opposed to just rolling in there and then you'd have been on the defensive, right?
Totally.
The whole time.
And we had a plan for it, and that's why we put them in the sky.
Yeah.
Because we know there's some stuff up there, but intel only can tell us so much. So we get a Spectre gunship, fly above us, and they can see everything, and everything's kosher. We can fight our way out of most battles because we plan it very well. But sometimes you'll have that thing where there's things you just don't know, and thank God we had them. And that was on one occasion, that going in and going out. Had another situation where my boss is calling me saying, hey, Bo, we got Taliban embedded close to your area in a hard position. We're calling the Spectre gunship. And I was like, he's going to drop. I go, what's he dropping? Is it 40 Mike or 105? And I couldn't get an answer. 40 Mike or 105? Because I need to know if it's a 105, I'm going to stop moving. Yeah. Because I don't want to get blasted by that thing.
Yeah.
And I kept asking, 40 Mike, 105, and then all of a sudden you just, woo, just hear it, boosh. I'm like, 105, thank you.
I mean, it's a tank gun, and
and it's coming out of the sky, man.
Yeah.
And so but like, again, I was fortunate my whole time in battle. I rolled with family, friends, deep trust with everybody I was with, and we armed ourselves to the teeth when we could. If we can't, we brought in reinforcements. Anybody that wants to play with us, hey, you want to play? Come on. Come hop on a train with us. And we made sure that when we go out to do a job, we're going to do the job. And so, and that's the difference, it's being special forces.
Sure.
And I love the conventional forces, because when they do it, oh man, that's nothing like walking behind a tank while they're just clearing streets for you, clearing buildings for you. It's the best thing.
What's the hardest thing of transitioning out? once you got out, like you're done, and I'm gonna infuse one little chunk in here. Everybody that I've talked to, that they've got their stuff that they dealt with, physical stuff, family stuff. There's a whole number of things. You miss time with your kids or your family or your friends or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And things that you see, things that you do, things that you're exposed to. You get injured, your back gets hurt, your knee gets hurt, your buddy, you lose a friend. All of those things, all very difficult. But everyone says the biggest challenge is you come out from being like hyper vigilant and at this crazy operation tempo, and your body and your mind and your senses are at this peak, and all of a sudden you come out and now somebody's talking about their kid's toothache, or you're mad because there's 3 people in line at the Roxy to go see music. Like, what was the hardest transition?
I think for me the hardest transition was just trying to figure out like how things work. Like, for example, I got out, I wanted to be in sports, right? So I knew that. So I went back to school. I'm in school, and people like they're just there. I don't want to be there. That's annoying. I'm in class one night, and teachers like, clearly they can't have pets in the class. Steven says it. I don't know why the teacher has to say, don't bring your dog to class, right? Like, why would your teacher have to say that? And sure as shit, there's a girl in the back of class with a dog in her purse. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, do I say something? Like,
right.
Like, what are you doing? And I was just like, this is dumb. Like, why am I here? And it's like, just trying to do all the steps that you think you need to do to earn your way into the civilian population.
Yeah.
And at the same time, as you're doing that, you don't want anybody to know that you might have a problem with transitioning. So you try to stay on your P's and Q's all the time. So you're hyper sensitive to everything. Luckily for me, I was coaching football. I was in sports at the same time. So I was already getting this hyper vigilant, like I was around athletes, and so I was kind of like-minded people. So it kind of curved me. But I think the biggest, hardest transition piece was understanding that in the military, if you want to do something, there's checks and balances. There's gates. If you want to be a sniper, you got to go to sniper school. If you want to be a jumper, you got to go to jump school. If you want to be a diver, you got to go to dive school. But before you go to dive school, you got to go to pre-scuba. If you want to learn demolitions, you got to pass this first, then you go to demolition school. You want to be a breacher, you got to show a high, all these, you got to do all these things to get what you want. And so I thought that that's what I had to do here. And then as I'm trying to get a certificate for this, do this, check that, there's people already doing it. They ain't got nothing. And they're making money, and they're living their life. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, and then I realize it's not about what you know, it's about who you know out here. Like, if you get people to get to know you, people want to work with people they trust. They don't care what you know. They want to work with people that you could trust. Same in the military. So I kind of like had to like become friendlier and actually have conversations with people and become a student and reach out. This is why I know you. Interesting people that live in my community, and just talk to them and just find out no, you didn't have a straight top. You didn't have like this silver spoon or this like da-da-da-da. Man, you were racing cars, man. Racing cars, you work with police force, and now you're doing helmets, right? It wasn't a straight line. You lost more than you gained. And having friends like you, having friends like other friends that we have in our group, was able to give me what I needed to transition. So what I tell guys and girls that transition from the military, first of all, no one in uniform can tell you what you need, because they haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine who's getting ready to retire right now from the Coast Guard. And I told him today, I said, let me know what you need, man. I said, no one in uniform is going to be able to tell you what you need. I go, so let me know. I'm here for you. But what I tell people is as soon as you figure out where you want to be, where you want your home to be, where you want to live, go there and get in the community.
Yeah. Get
involved in the community. Meet people. Know who your neighbors are. Know who the people. Know the kids. Get in the schools. They will transition you. I love LCC football. I love Sean Sobel because he helped me transition. He gave me an opportunity to coach and to coach kids and to be a head coach. The athletic department, everybody in the community, La Costa, Carlsbad, anywhere I've ever trained a kid in this community or worked with a family, they all were part of my transition. Can't write a book on it. Can't write a book on it, man. Can't write a self-help book on it. Period. Can't. You need human interaction from people that genuinely care about you to show you how to transition and be here.
So you had to put yourself in a position,
Yeah.
right, and engage
Yes.
to do that,
Yeah.
right? If you try to hang on still, you got to keep your friends, right,
Yeah.
that you serve with. But when you come out, you have to engage. Otherwise, you feel isolated. Is that?
Yeah. Because you're trying to do all these these boxes.
Yeah.
And you're checking it with people that you don't even know, they don't even care about you. But if you just like it's literally easy. The friends that I have in my corner, guys like you, like people in this community that do big things for this community that people don't even know, like you won't even know that I'm associated with them. And like there's people that know me that like, how do you know him? How do you know that person? I know most of these people I know through their kids, through their families, through church, through football, through the community, man. Not some business deal.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
You
That's
know,
true.
like me and you are on this podcast because we didn't meet through some business deal. We met as a friendship. I know your sons.
Yeah.
You know, I talked to Troy for advice. He talked to me for advice. I mean, that's it. It's the sticky, icky stuff first.
Yeah.
Like get to know people, let people get to know you. Let's show people that you're reliable, you're respectful, and then you have a genuine desire to be there for them and help them if they need something. And people will do the same for you. Not everybody, but the ones that will, those are the ones you stick to. And then you're just building another special forces team, and that's what I have here in my community with you and Brian and everyone else. Is I have my own special forces community. So I don't worry about anything. When COVID was going on, remember when people were like, "Oh man, people are gonna wreck somebody's business." We had a plan, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We had a plan.
Yeah.
So you were like, "I ain't worried, Bo." I was like, "I got you, bro. I'm not worried either. We know we were gonna hang out. We know we were gonna put the sniper. You know, all right, that might be too much, but we had a plan, and that's us protecting our community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think transition, man, it's tough, and it is tough. It is tough because we're just trying to figure out how to belong. And people will say, well, come on, before you joined the Marine Corps, you were a civilian. Yeah, but I was 18 years old. And I spent all my time at school, at sports. I didn't spend my time out here trying to figure out what's going on. And now my lifestyle is I'm hypersensitive to danger. I see danger everywhere. I was telling my girlfriend this the other day. I was like, yeah, I see danger everywhere. Now I just ignore it. But before, I see it everywhere. And I'm like, that's a bad thing that could happen. That's a bad thing that could happen. That's a bad thing that could happen.
Yeah.
And I just had to kind of like learn how to relax it and just know that nothing's going to happen. And if something happens, I'm okay. I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not PTSD. It's just the machine that I was in. Once you leave it physically, mentally, your brain is still on it until it slows down.
And it takes time for it to slow down.
It does take time.
And the buffer for that is the community and the people around you and immersing yourself in it. I 100% agree. I mean, you and all the different things you've done since I've known you, from coaching, mental coaching teams, doing what you're doing now with the Legion, talking to kids in the community. My kid being a great example of the first time he met you, he was like, man, you know, basically that guy's larger than life. Like, you know, he's coaching football, you know, he's in the Marines. He just, and the fact that you took the time to talk to him, always he'll remember that. And you know, people listen to this, I would say what you just talked about in the transition, if you know somebody that has been in the military in the last 25 years, take this, and even if you fast forward through everything else, that component of it is great advice. And that's not coming from me, that's coming from somebody that's just done it and done it successfully and done it well. The last question I ask everybody, the exact same question, so don't yell at me if I'm asking you the same question I ask everybody else at the end. But what do you want to be remembered for?
Oh man, that's that legacy question.
Yep.
I don't know what I want to be remembered for. I just want, when I'm gone, that people could tell stories with a smile on their face about me. You know, kids that we've helped grow up in this community could tell stories like I just told about Master Sergeant Laranang and Major Williams. I just want to be somebody that when you speak my name or there's a story, that it's a feel good story, and that's all I can really ask for, you know. That's that legacy, and I'm big about leave a legacy, and my intent when I'm in the community is that I want to, you know, not so much be remembered, but if you are going to mention my name, I just want to make sure I do you justice, so where you can mention it in a good way, and that's it, man. That's like, you know, oh, Bo got me tickets to the Legion game. That was awesome. You know, or, you know, I never forget the time that Bo told me about the story, and you know, it's always stuck with me. And I know kids. I see kids now that I coached, and they're grown people, and I see them out at bars, and like, Coach, let me buy you a drink. Like, that's a compliment.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a compliment. There's a lot of people I don't want to buy drinks for. I wouldn't dare buy a drink for some people.
Yeah.
But like when you see a kid that you coached and you have no idea which direction you actually were with that person at the time, and now they're adult, they're like, Coach Bo, what's up?
That's it.
I have to like kind of like not go to some bars around here because I see them too much now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm trying to act like a fool, but I'm like, oh,
you can't do it there.
I can't do it there. I'm Coach Bo. No, I can't do it. But it's cool though, man. It's cool, and that's it, man. Just want to be remembered as somebody who was dear to you, and I think you can say a great story and get people to put a smile on their face. That's it, man.
Yeah. Well, as a third-party observer, I will say that you know, you got a lot more to give, but you've also given a lot, and I think that the community is better for it. All the people that you serve with. I certainly am. You know, for our friendship. I think anybody listening to this today gains something from this, and again, I hope that if you know somebody in the military that has served and is transitioning, that the last 15 minutes of this is something that they should listen to. And you can find Bo on social media, and I'm not trying to blow up your inbox, but I know that you're there for anybody that could be struggling. And
yes, sir.
It is a travesty that we as a country, the non-uniform side of it, don't do more with this problem and issue of so many young people taking their lives that serve because they struggle in the transition, and it doesn't have to happen. And we may not do everything right at this company, but one of the things that we are committed to is aiding in whatever way we can there. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your friendship, everything that you do for all of us that are around here. And I'm going to have you back to tell more stories.
Oh, yeah, man, because we run out of time.
Yep,
and
you bet.
Nick, you know I love you, man, and from the first time me and you met, bro, it's been nothing but fun and laughter, some serious conversations. Love your kids, man. Love your family. Love everything that you're doing. I'm watching you. I'm rooting for you. The industry that you're in, it's cutthroat, but you are doing it, my man, and that's because of the guy you are, bro. And you know I got your back.
I know you do. I appreciate that, and we'll be leaning on you more as time passes here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
You bet.